I'm not really sure how I'm going to get through this video, guys. As you can tell by my tone of voice, I'm not my usual self. I'm not my usual chirpy self. Something happened earlier today, and to say I'm devastated would be a gross understatement. I'm still trying to process exactly what happened. I wanted to jot down some notes because there were a lot of points I wanted to make in this video, but my hand was shaking. I couldn't write anything. My nerves were shot. So forgive me for missing out on some points here, but that's just the way it goes when you're reeling from a traumatic experience. Where to begin? It is a tale of woe indeed. Where to begin? Sometimes, well, I won't say sometimes, regularly in my Twitter timeline, I see tweets from people I follow and people I don't follow. And these are generally, in the grand scheme of things, they're nothing, but on the right, as they would say, the dissident right, these people are revered, even idolized. And I've noticed a pattern wherein they talk about billionaires, and they talk about them. They send out tweets talking about them as if they were best mates of these billionaires, trillionaires. And they're on a first name basis with them. Now, I'm sure you've seen this. Perhaps you indulge in this as well. And it's a pet hate of mine, to be honest. But I've always wanted to find out why people do it. Why do people send out tweets that, to the uninitiated would communicate that the person sending out the tweet is best mates with this celebrity or that celebrity or this tycoon? It really is a strange modern phenomenon. So let's get into what happened, guys. And by the way, I do recommend that if there are children in the room with you, please usher them out, because there will be some sexually explicit language used in this video. I do apologize, but I want to lay out the bare bones of the matter. So if there are children in the room, please usher them out. This is not a video for kids. Furthermore, if you are of a tender disposition, this might not be the video for you. If you are not made of strong stuff, you might consider pouring yourself a glass of strong stuff. And at the same time, I do not recommend the consumption of alcohol. I'm rambling, and that's what happens when you've gone through a traumatic experience. At this moment in time, I feel like I've been hit by a truck, and I look up at the sky, and all I see are these dark clouds circling. And these are dark times. So let's go. There's a guy called Millennial Woes. I'm sure some of you listening to this will be aware of him and his work, his videos. Maybe even his essays, I don't know. Millennial Woes. Scottish guy, speaks with a very soft Scottish accent. Not a very strong Scottish accent. I would say it's more Edinburgh than Glasgow. But he seems like a very nice guy. Speaks very, very softly. Doesn't like uncouth behaviour. Likes to have a chuckle. And on Twitter, I don't follow the guy, but I do follow people who follow him, and therefore from time to time his tweets appear in my feed. And today he sent out the following tweet. Now I had to go back. I had to go back on the page, on the web page, to see the original tweet. And I'll explain that in a few minutes. But let's get to it. His tweet is the following, quote, "I like Elon, and I'm very grateful for what he has done with Twitter. But I still think that renaming it X was an unequivocally bad decision." Unquote. That was the tweet that appeared in my feed. Let me just pick up a twig here off the ground and start cracking it, because I feel my nerves are jangling just reading that tweet. I'll just snap it a bit more. Okay. That feels a bit better. Right. So this is a good example of the Walter Mitty syndrome. You know, these talking heads, they have high notions and they put out tweets that give the general public an impression that they're very close to these tycoons. Very close indeed. So I decided that I wanted to understand the psychology behind this. And so I responded to his tweet. And this tweet of his was from yesterday, and it appeared in my feed today. And I responded with the following, quote, "Why do you call him by his first name? Is he a close friend of yours? Do you guys hang out quite often?" That was it. So I just asked him a few questions. I wanted to know the motivation behind his tweet. What exactly was going on? You know, I felt that it would be like me saying, you know, I like Superman and I'm very grateful that he saved the world a gorillion times. And I think he's a top-class journalist. Not only a superhero, but a top-class journalist. But I still think his costume is very gay. Something like that, you know. And people would say, wow, this guy knows Superman. Wow. Or I could say Clark. You know, I really like Clark. Some other people would probably think I was suffering from Walter Mitty syndrome. But a lot of people would just go, that's incredible. He knows Superman. He knows Clark Kent. He's calling him Clark. He's calling him Clark. And he's saying he likes him. He likes Clark. So, yeah. I just asked a few questions. I'll just repeat his tweet and my tweet. And then we'll get into the very dark territory, which was the response by Millennial Woes to my response to him. So, once again, Millennial Woes, quote, "I like Elon, and I'm very grateful for what he has done with Twitter. but I still think that renaming it X was an unequivocally bad decision. Unquote. Me. Quote, why do you call him by his first name? Is he a close friend of yours? Do you guys hang out quite often? Unquote. Now within 2 minutes, Millennial Woes responded to me, and my jaw hit the floor when I read his very short message. I wasn't sure if it was some very highbrow humour that I couldn't possibly grasp, or if he was insulting me. He used sexually explicit language, so as I say, if there are kids in the room, usher them out. If you're of a weak disposition, don't listen to the rest of this recording.
Millennial Woes, quote, found the wanker, unquote.